you'll have better rates of muscle protein synthesis. And I know a lot of powerlifter crowd who people I'm friends with, right? Even in a lot of bodybuilding crowd too, that they just have to have 400 milligrams of caffeine every pre-workout, right? They have to have that. And when you're always going to burn out that way. And one thing that I've noticed is whenever I've had higher caffeine consumption, it always comes to the point where the body just wants you to stop and you get an injury of some sort. So keep the caffeine moderate. Hey there, I'm Anthony Romano, and I'm going to tell you in this video the #1 pre-workout ingredient that is messing with your life. Okay, so this is the one pre-workout ingredient that you should avoid. And the way I'm saying avoid is avoid in excess, okay? Because it's caffeine. Caffeine is the #1 ingredient, and I'm going to be very specific about my recommendations here because not all coffee is bad, not all caffeine is bad, but we're going to get into this. I'm going to show you a couple key tips as to why you should avoid overdoing the caffeine, especially in pre-workouts. So, caffeine, why is it a problem in pre-workouts? Well, as far as somebody who uses a lot of pre-workouts or supplements in general, you know, I got so many supplements, some of them are visible back here, but I'll only promote supplements that I think are actually great quality stuff, which is why they're in the link in the description. But overall, a lot of supplements nowadays just jack up the caffeine, and they do that for many reasons. There's fat burners that do it just so you have, you know, basically higher body temperature, which is what you want in the thermogenic type of fat burner. But in general, a lot of supplements will do it so you get more of an effect. You'll get more stimulation from a pre-workout. You'll get, if you have a BCA supplement, they'll do it so you get a little bit of energy. So people go back and they get the energy pre-workout or BCA, whatever it may be, right? The point is every supplement jacks up the caffeine, and this is a problem, okay? Especially because everybody nowadays tends to overconsume caffeine. And I have done it plenty of times, okay? There's still days where I bite the bullet and I know I'm gonna have to overconsume caffeine. But I'm gonna give you a couple key substitutes here that will actually prevent you from having to overdo caffeine. So what's the problem when you actually overdo caffeine? Well, mainly you're gonna tax your adrenal system, okay? So your adrenals are on top of your kidneys, the renals. So a lot of things have to get filtered out. Basically, your kidneys will filter out like 5 liters of water every minute or so. Every couple minutes you're getting through 5 liters of water. Okay, there's some exact quote from a book I read called The Salt Fix by Dr. DiNicolantonio. But basically, caffeine is something that's going to be filtered through your renals, okay? The kidneys. And although people are worried about that from the kidney stone perspective, that's not the subject of this video, okay? The subject of this video is how it's going to tax you mentally and physically with overconsumption of caffeine. Because people kind of look at caffeine like it's just nonchalant, okay? They look at it like it's no problem. Caffeine's a big deal, okay? In people who take caffeine within a few hours before bed, it still reduces sleep quality and REM state sleep, so deep sleep where you're dreaming, by at least 30%. And for people who are thinking, like if you're like, you know, I'm Italian, okay? So I have a lot of people in my family who just down an espresso shot and then they'll go to bed an hour later. Even then, if you think it doesn't affect you, it will cut into quality of sleep. Which I know everybody hates the argument of, oh yeah, get good sleep, it's important. I hate it too, okay? I hate that argument. But if there's one thing I'm telling you not to do, it's even if you don't cut your caffeine intake down, just don't have it before bed. Have decaf, okay? Have some other hot beverage, all right? So before bed is the first step, okay? Remove the caffeine there. But let's go back to pre-workouts. With pre-workouts, it's all about pushing your daily total of caffeine too high. Around 500 milligrams of caffeine is a high dose for the average male. For females, I'd say less than that. 300 to 400 milligrams is probably to the point where you're going to get some sort of adrenal fatigue. Now, keep in mind, if you're having over 400 to 500 milligrams of caffeine per day, you are absolutely touching on, you're stressing your adrenals in some way, no doubt. Okay, because you have to realize there are hormones that are being upped and catecholamines in your brain that are being upped that when your adrenals have to work harder. So it's not that the adrenal gland is actually getting fatigued. It's just symptoms in the body that cause fatigue. And here's a big deal as this applies to muscle building. This is the peak of this video, okay? When you tax your adrenals, your endocrine system is going to work harder. And when your endocrine system is not optimized, you cannot build muscle properly, okay? Your endocrine system, this is why people who can take steroids and their endocrine system, their hormonal system, is now having a better background here to create better muscle protein synthesis. So this is why guys can hop on steroids, eat the same amount of protein they always do, and simply get more muscle gain. They don't even have to train to get the muscle gain because their endocrine system has been upregulated in a way where it's now having a higher rate of muscle protein synthesis. So this could mean more testosterone, more androgenic hormones. But the point is, when you have too much caffeine, you're going to downregulate endocrine system, okay? The endocrine processes in your body. So example, basically as a result of taxing the adrenals, certain hormones that would have been produced by other glands in your body basically, the adrenal glands are kind of like a backup for hormonal process in your body. And when you tax them too hard, it's basically your body's going to downregulate hormonal processes because you don't have that support anymore. You don't have that sort of security, right? That you would always have adequate hormone production, to make it simple. So when we're looking at a lot of the ways you can fix this, there are ways your cortisol, so cortisol is also a stress hormone, right? Everybody knows cortisol. When you have too much caffeine, your cortisol is basically you're basically addicted to cortisol, is what it is, because cortisol is stimulating. Even though it's stress, it's good stress. There's a great video from Paul Chek, who basically has this way of explaining coffee that it linearizes thought. It basically activates the sympathetic nervous system, okay, which is sort of a stimulatory element of your nervous system. Parasympathetic is more calming, okay, and caffeine upregulates that sympathetic nervous system. And there are substitutes that you can use, which are also in pre-workouts, to get more of that, jacked up feeling, okay? Even things like L-tyrosine is critical for your thyroid production, which is also going to be beneficial in taking stress off your adrenals, but depending on your age too. But essentially, L-tyrosine is a great substitute to throw in, or pick a pre-workout that has that at the expense of heightened caffeine. Like, you can still use caffeinated pre-workouts. I do too, okay? The point, I have a coffee all the time. Every day I'll have a coffee. And I take some breaks every month. But the thing is, something like an L-tyrosine, okay? Getting that natural catecholamine raised in your brain. Those are stimulatory neurotransmitters, okay? And having other things like a phenylalanine, DL-phenylalanine can also be beneficial there for more endorphin production, okay? A pre-workout with phenylalanine, DL-phenylalanine, aka L-dopa is what they call it, and tyrosine is going to be far more balanced because you're giving your body just a natural amino acid that you can get in food, and essentially it's going to boost production of stimulatory effects in your body without taxing any one organ or system, okay? So example tyrosine, example L-dopa. Those are going to be in the description as well, and I'm going to put more videos out on those products. But amino acid therapy is very beneficial, and everyone overlooks it because essentially amino acids are natural proteins found in food, and when you substitute them in for drugs, really like caffeine, you're going to get similar effects without destroying your sleep, without taxing your hormonal system, without taxing the adrenals, okay? You'll have better rates of muscle protein synthesis, and I know a lot of powerlifter crowd who, people I'm friends with, right? Even in a lot of bodybuilding crowd too, that they just have to have 400 milligrams of caffeine in every pre-workout, right? They have to have that. And when you're always going to burn out that way. And one thing that I've noticed is whenever I've had higher caffeine consumption, it always comes to the point where the body just wants you to stop and you get an injury of some sort. So keep the caffeine moderate. Around 200 milligrams is good for a pre-workout if you're a male. Try to shoot for under, if you're really being conservative here, under 300 milligrams daily for men, under 200 milligrams daily for women, okay? So that includes your pre-workout dose. So realistically, get a pre-workout that's higher in pump. Get a pre-workout that doesn't just rely on caffeine to jack you up, okay, and get you feeling jittery. That's also going to naturally downregulate your own levels of cortisol. So basically, you can't get focused without jacking up the cortisol. So what I'll say is high-quality pre-workouts are hard to come by. I have some linked in the description and whatnot, but overall, the most important thing for you to avoid is don't have excessive amounts of caffeine. Everybody looks at caffeine like it's just nothing to be afraid of, and it is a drug. It is, okay? But I mean, I use it and it's great and everybody loves caffeine, but the point is use it in moderation, okay? Especially in pre-workouts that rely on jacking it up. Even if you think this doesn't apply to you, it does, okay? Anybody over certain amounts of caffeine per day, 400 or 500 milligrams, is experiencing some form of adrenal fatigue, and your body will take this out on you. So prevent this. Like my video, subscribe, and go to my website, romanoketo.com, for coaching, for programs, books, all that stuff. Thank you very much. Peace.